Hey guys, how's it going? I wanted to shoot a video update for the Death Wobble video that I did. I'm doing some work on the truck here. It's been a little while since I released that video about the Death Wobble. So I thought I would take you through a couple things that I've learned since then, and one big thing that I've learned that I think I messed up on. So stick around for that. And we're doing some work on the F-350 today. I'm gonna raise it up. So we're working on the steering for the F-350 right here. What?
I'm working on taking this thing.
And Nathan wants to get these little scoops out. So these scoops are for the piece of plastic that they normally have on here, which we never had on this truck. Anyway, we're working on the steering. The steering has a little bit of play into it, okay? And it's had a little bit of play for a long time. And a lot of people would say, well, that's the reason why you have the Death Wobble. And I'm not going to go through that whole thing again, because in that other video, I explained why that's not the reason why you get the Death Wobble, but that's the reason why it shows up. When you start getting a little play in the wheel, it gives it the room to do the Death Wobble. Without the play, and it doesn't have the room to start the wobble and then keep it going. So a lot of people would say, all of a sudden I noticed it started and then it went a little even more. So it started this oscillation effect, and then it gets even more and more and more.
Those things are on there.
All right, you want to see what he's doing? These little scoop things have these bolts right there. I got one off because the impact can just hook right up to it. But then this one he's working on, it's back there, right? So you should grab the socket and get the bigger, it's this one right there. Get the ½ inch for that. All right, so the way that we figured out where the play was in the system, I had the truck started, and I had Luke in there, and he was moving it side to side. And you could see the linkages. This is a pretty simple system. It goes from the steering, which is right there, and then it comes across, hooks into the passenger side here, and then it's got this giant bar that goes across to the driver's side, all right? So we saw some movement right at the steering knuckle, and then right there as well. So they just had a little bit of movement, not much, but enough to where it probably had the play. You okay? Don't hurt yourself. You're moving this whole truck, man.
My goodness.
So this part was in here, like this. Goes down way down in there, like that, okay? And then this part goes up to the steering knuckle up there. And then this, the steering stabilizer, goes into the bar right there. And I'm going to talk about the steering stabilizer in just a second too, because we have to really clear some stuff up with that. All right, so to get these off, I had the, what do they call it, a pickle fork? Basically, you put it in there, and then you bang on it, and it pops it out. I use that for there, and that for there. To get the steering stabilizer out, I use this thing right here, which is from Harbor Freight. I didn't actually think this was going to work that well, but I put it right in there, and just cranked it down, and it popped it right off. So that was cool. That was nice. I put in a little bit of lubricant in there, and it popped it right off. All right, so this is less of a how-to video and more of like, this is what we're doing to get this thing basically back to really tight steering. Kind of reiterate with that, it's that we're not doing this to get rid of the Death Wobble, because once we made the change that I put in that other video, we never had Death Wobble again. So I'll be replacing this whole link with a brand new one. I got a new piece here, new coupler, and a new long bar. We're just going to put that in. And then as we go with this, we'll keep talking about the whole Death Wobble thing and what I learned with the other truck, the F-350 that we did, just so I can show you. All right, did you see what I did wrong? I always do this. I didn't put these on. Gotta take this all apart. Found it? Good. Yes, you for sure could chip concrete with. Okay, let's talk, guys. Let's talk steering stabilizers, okay? A lot of people get the Death Wobble, and then they go watch a YouTube video or something, and they're like, so the way to cure it is to get a big steering stabilizer, right? So the idea behind it is to hold tight. You're holding on to all of this stuff so that it doesn't wiggle, okay? Now that's false. The main job for a steering stabilizer is it's a shock, okay? That's why it looks like a shock. Now what does a shock do? When you're driving down the road, your vehicle is resting on the springs. Now if you hit a bump, the spring will, contract. If you had no shock, it would be very fast, right? Very jarring, okay? The shock is supposed to absorb, goes up slower, down slower, so it's smooth. That's the same thing with steering. Now, the idea behind it is if you hit something like a pothole and it moves the wheels, the shock is supposed to be there to absorb that so that it's not really jarring on the wheel. These don't really go bad as much as people think they do. Now, a lot of people will come in and say, all right, to fix this, I'm gonna put a dual steering stabilizer system in here so that your steering wheel is so dang tight. Did I say dang? So darn tight that it won't move at all. Did I say darn? The reason why I'm not changing and adding or doing anything like this is because I want this steering to be smooth. I don't want me to be like, I want it to be just smooth. That's why this steering stabilizer is going to stay. That's all I need to say with this, all right? Now this one down here, this connects the passenger wheel to the driver's wheel right there. This one is quite a bit bigger than this one. And so we saw movement here, but didn't see any movement there. So I'm just going to rest in the fact that I think these are fine. And we're gonna test the drive here and see how it goes. And I'm gonna test it. But I think it'll be fine. But if it does ever have a little bit of play into it, I can replace these pretty easily as well. This setup right here determines what your toe-in would be. So if you made this, if I was to change this, that would change the toe-in of this. This one here, the only thing that this changes is how the wheel rests, right? So if the wheel is straight up and down, which it pretty much was when I was going down the interstate, then I could if it was off to the side at all, I could adjust this so that it tracks going down the road correctly. So I left it exactly the way that it was on the other one. So that's the only thing that would be affected alignment-wise with what we did today. Everything else would be in the bushings that we changed out a long time ago that basically got rid of the death wobble. Okay, so we got the white truck all fixed up. I did end up adjusting where the wheel rests because the wheel was cockeyed just a little bit. Adjusted it pretty much while I was on a drive one day. What I want to talk about is where I might have been wrong, or maybe not necessarily wrong. Wrong probably isn't quite the right word. I think the word that I'm looking for is tentative. In my second video, I went ahead and replaced the bushings on our brand new 2024 F-350 truck. The reason I shot that video was to show you how easy it was to put in the new bushings. Now, one thing I didn't know about the 2024 is that it's a little bit different than the 2020. So I went ahead and did the bushings on the truck even though I never got the death wobble before, which is not something that I would recommend. I would only recommend doing the bushings if you got the death wobble, because on the 2024, when I put the bushings in, I gave it a positive 1.5 degree caster, and what was in there before was like a 0. Put everything back together, and while the steering did feel really nice, eventually I ended up hearing this sound coming from the front passenger side wheel. Someone left in the comments, I just did this on my 2024 and I'm hearing kind of a sound coming from this wheel. I think he mentioned something about there being a change with the 2024 version. I went ahead and started listening a little closer. Then I started hearing it. So I ended up taking the aftermarket bushings out of the truck and putting the standard factory ones back in. So I think the main message here is only do this change if you need to, if you've had the death wobble. And then on newer trucks, if you do have the death wobble, instead of going as far positive as you possibly can, like I mentioned in the initial video, maybe just start out at maybe half degree positive and work up from there. The only problem with that is that you'll have to do some testing to see if you get the death wobble. And I had a hard time like reproducing death wobble. I'm going to leave it up to you as far as that goes. If you want to set it really far positive and just listen to hear if you have that kind of noise that was kind of like a but just very subtle noise, I think I would prefer that noise over the death wobble, but I'll just leave it up to you. Let me know in the comments below what you think. If you had the death wobble, would you set it total positive and then listen for the sound and then set it back a little bit to try to get rid of the sound? Let me know your thoughts. So you can kind of see the issue here, right? You don't want to go too far positive and ruin something on the front end of your new truck, but you don't want to have the death wobble either. I'm still very positive that the caster is what's doing it in these trucks. Like I said, with that 2020, we set it to as much positive caster as that bushing would allow it, and we never got the death wobble again, even though we had kind of play in the steering. Now we got that steering all fixed up. I'm very confident that we'll never see the death wobble in that truck again. So I'm very confident in the fix. I'm just a little less confident in the newer trucks. If you end up getting a death wobble, what the fix should be. Anyway, I thought I'd drop that to you. I hope this video helped. If you have any questions on this or the work that we did on the truck, let me know in the comments below. I'll be glad to help. This, of course, was brought to you by INSTY Connect. This is our family business. We help people stay connected. We have a lot of cool things coming up, like new plans and a brand new antenna that we're bringing out. I'll show it to you real quick. There it is right up there, right? You see it? It's pretty cool, huh? It's getting us some lightning fast speeds, even though we're in a bunch of trees, right? So anyway, thanks. Hope you're having a great day. Let me know if you have any questions, and I'll talk to you soon. Thanks. Bye-bye.